Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to our Remento webinar. It's so nice to see everyone here with us. My name is Charlie Greene. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Remento. And on behalf of our entire team, I want to express my deepest gratitude for all of you making the time to be here with us today. We built this session specifically today around a simple truth, which is that photos do more than they capture a moment. From our experience, we know that they have the power to unlock stories. They give us an entry point into memories that we'd otherwise forget, and they help us build legacies that last far beyond a lifetime. I think for many of you, this scene here may be a familiar one. Sitting with someone that you love, you're flipping through pages of old scrapbooks, you're pointing at old faces, you're writing little notes on the back of the photo, maybe a name, a year, or a place. But what often gets lost here are the real details, the story of what actually happened in that photo, the mood and the voices, that you had to be there parts that never make it into those little written captions. And the reality is that when we lose the people in those photos, we often lose the stories with them. So this right here is my mom talking about photos from my childhood. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have these stories and these memories and also her voice preserved. And that's exactly what we want to talk today about, which is how do we make sure that we don't lose those photos or the stories behind them, and how to make it easy, maybe even joyful, to preserve them, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who comes after us. So today you're going to hear a couple of different perspectives on a shared mission, which is to help reconnect with our family history in a way that's not only practical, but deeply human. First, we've got Dr. Brian Levine, who is a neuroscientist and memory expert, who's going to explain the science behind why old photos can instantly bring back forgotten memories and why that matters for storytelling. Then we have Noam Eshel from Photomyne, who's going to show us how simple it can be to bring your physical photos into the digital age using nothing more than your smartphone. And then I'll wrap by showing how Remento helps transform those digitized images and the stories they inspire into something you can pass down, hold in your hands, and revisit again and again. And then we'll save time at the end for a live Q&A to answer all of your questions. And by the way, stay tuned for an exclusive discount at the end of our webinar for discounts for both Remento and for Photomyne. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started. First up, we have Dr. Brian Levine with us today. Brian is a clinical neuropsychologist, a senior scientist at the Rotman Research Institute, and a professor at the University of Toronto with appointments in psychology, neurology, and rehabilitation science. He has spent over 30 years studying memory and aging in the brain. And one very small claim to fame he has is he was the very first Remento scientific advisor to join our team. And when I say that he's written on the topic, I mean it. He has helped shape the very foundation of how we think about memory and storytelling. So Brian, welcome to the webinar. It's a pleasure to have you.
Wow, thank you for that lovely introduction. And it's been a blast being a part of this and watching this thing grow. So thank you.
Well, we really appreciate having you. You have written extensively about how the senses can trigger memory. That's actually, in fact, how I found you in the first place. So to kick things off, I wonder if you can walk us through the science of what is actually happening in our brain when we look at a photo from the past and we recognize it.
Sure. So memory involves all the senses, and we humans love the visual senses. We have compared to other species, humans have the best vision, the most detailed vision, and that's why photos are such an effective cue to get you back to the memory. When we retrieve memories in everyday life, if without a photo, there's often a thinking process, unless someone tells you, the exact memory. If you're trying to retrieve it yourself, there's often a thinking process to get back to that time and place. But the photo just it's a short circuits that and bypasses it, gets right through the visual system into the memory centers of your brain, and then from there it can resonate out. All the signals can resonate out to the rest of the brain to trigger those multimodal images and all the different senses that goes with it.
It sounds like it's almost like a hack to your memory. It's like a quick way to be able to access things that you may never otherwise have been able to.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, it does work that way.
And is there something when we're looking at older photos specifically, in the example I was showing earlier, these were photos of my mom looking at photos from 20, 30, 40 years ago. Is there something about the kind of like analog photos from the past that is different in the way that we process them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that's happening there. Part of the thing that's happening is that time in the past, if it occurs during a certain age or events, it's a time where there are a lot of memory and identity formation happening, particularly in the period in our life from, say, the 20s and 30s and 40s. We're forming our identities, we're figuring out who we are. That's not so much an analog digital thing, but that does relate to the time. The other thing that happens, I think, is now, of course, we have so many photos on our phones that the older ones, those photos tend to be more curated and more specific. So that's another piece. But I think ultimately it's the content and the nature of the event and the experience you're having more than it is, say, the analog or digital or the quality of the photo, as long as it's clear. And in fact, in some sense, digital photos give you more control over the quality. And so that could be an enhancement.
I want to go back to something you said, because I remember one of the first time we met, we were talking about autobiographical memory and you were explaining what that is. And I remember you described to me the reminiscence bump, which is something that I think you just spoke to, which I remember when you explained to me for the first time, it really blew my mind. I wonder if you could explain like what is the reminiscence bump?
Yeah, thanks. So I think it's something most people can relate to, which is, it's basically what I said, is that the period when you're becoming an adult, you're figuring out who you are. You might be traveling abroad for the first time, or going someplace, or being independent, breaking free from your parents or whatever was going on in your life, and really encountering things for the first time. And those memories, in biology, the first time you encounter something is significant. Even going back to the hunter-gatherer days, you see something new, you have to encode it because you don't know, it might be important for survival later. And that's still true. So when we encounter things for the first time, whether it's a new cuisine or a new place or new people or new relationships, they tend to get represented really strongly in the mind and the brain. And then when we go back, when we think back to that, you ask people about significant events in their life, they'll give you a lot more memories from that time period than from other time periods. And that holds not only for pictures, but for music, whatever was going on in the culture at that time. So anything you might have encountered.
And there's actually a period in someone's life where those kinds of first experiences are disproportionately more likely to occur than other parts of your life.
Yeah, the 20s, mainly the 20s, maybe the 30s, maybe the late teens. It kind of depends when you were fortunate enough to break free from the shackles of whatever you were at to get into your own thing.
It's amazing. Yeah, you think about the moments that have really shaped you. Of course, there's so much encoding happening in the first couple of years of your life, but there's obviously so much that's also happening in your 20s and 30s, as you described.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of families who are thinking about going through old photos and potentially using those to spark memories and stories that might otherwise may not be accessible. I think we can all empathize with the feeling of seeing a photo and remembering something about a moment that we otherwise wouldn't have. I wonder, as people are thinking about, finding the photos that are going to lead to the kinds of stories that we'd want to share with our families, what would you share with them as advice that you would have about which photos to look for?
Yeah. So I like the idea of getting into a specific event, an event that had even a little bit of emotion or surprise to it. Because those are the events that tend to be retained and they make the best stories. So if you have a photo of, say, your cottage and there's nothing, you've been there hundreds of times, there's nothing specific about it, that might not be as effective as, say, a specific event at your cottage with specific people and expressions, things going on in the picture that are more effective at getting you back into some story where something happened that's memorable. So I would focus on sort of the story, the narrative, using that technique.
And then maybe if we were going to be putting a photo in front of someone and we were going to ask a question associated with that photo, it sounds like maybe what I'm hearing is asking for specific details of not only what's in the photo, but maybe details contextually around the photo may be a way of...
Yeah, you want to know who was there, how were they feeling, how were you feeling, what was going on at the time, what happened just before that, what happened after, what were the implications of that event. We snap pictures all the time and we don't necessarily know which ones are going to be significant. It's because of what happened later. You don't know what's going to happen. So if you can go back and find those photos where it was sort of an inflection point, something happened as a result of that event, that's going to be a key memory for them.
Yeah. And we'll be talking a little bit later in the presentation around, in our experience at Remento, the kinds of photos that we've seen through our experience lead to the stories that are most likely to be shared within a family and be meaningful
Mm-hmm.
when they are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those, to give a preview, is around transitions, life transitions,
Yeah.
leaving home for the first time, beginning school, making a change in your career. Those tend to
Yeah.
be moments. Many of them exist in that reminiscence bump period.
That's so interesting, because when in my own lab, when we do memory experiments, of course we can't do and we can't follow someone throughout their life, so we often create events or ask about create mini events like tours or new little things that we do around here, and we're actually looking at that exact thing. The transition points, even within a single event, tend to be the points where memory is enhanced. So it's quite interesting to hear that.
Well, I'll give a shout out to one of our other advisors, who's Bruce Feiler, 7 times New York Times winning author, best-selling author, who has an amazing book called Life in the Transitions.
Mm.
And if you're curious about transitions,
Yeah.
it's a really wonderful read.
Okay.
I remember, Brian, one of the things that we talked about was the what and the where pathways in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you could share with the group what is the difference between those two, and how do those
Sure.
map to when you're looking at a photo? What's happening?
Sure. So this is something that's been like very reliable in neuroscience and perception and thinking, that goes not just in humans, but down all the way down the line through all mammals, which is basically that we have separate systems for identifying the features and colors and faces, things that are specific details, versus the location, the where, and how you get there. And so those are different streams in the brain. The where stream goes through kind of the top part of the brain. The what stream comes through the bottom, and of course they interact all the time. So when we look at a picture, we're often transported to that time and place, and then through the what stream, and then through the where stream, and then in the what stream, you're going to be filling in the details, the emotions, or the little perceptual details, or the colors, or the specific events of what happened there.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating that so much is happening when you look at an image, and how they all can kind of triangulate around the recontextualization of what was actually happening in the moment.
Yeah, that's an important point, is that there's a lot going on in your brain when you remember events, and that actually can help patients. So or someone with, even if they're don't have dementia, they might have a transitional kind of early stage or mild cognitive impairment. Activating the brain that way is actually beneficial to creating a sense of well-being and connectedness, because you're really using your whole brain. You're not just sitting there, you're not just doing one thing. Memory is very complex, and especially autobiographical memory, so it engages the brain in a healthy way like that.
I'd love to talk more about dementia broadly, and then maybe Alzheimer's specifically. I'm sure there are people on this call who have loved ones, or maybe themselves, they're dealing with either being predisposed to one of these conditions, or maybe have been diagnosed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more? You mentioned that going through reminiscence can have benefits for both well-being and connectivity and connectedness. Can you share more on what that means?
Yeah. So these memories, the significant memories from our lives, they tend to be more resistant to dementia. So you may have noticed, if you have someone in your life like this, that they maybe don't remember what happened yesterday, but they can remember what happened 25 years ago. And that's because, again, almost, there are many reasons for that. One of the reasons is the reminiscence bump that I talked about, and the idea of the identity formation. Also, these significant memories just get rehearsed and talked about more, so they're more stable and more resistant to decline. And that holds for, also music and other things that can sort of bypass the effortful part of remembering, and sort of help to trigger someone's recollections when they have a weaker memory system.
I remember one of the things you told us years ago was that people with dementia lose their memory backwards.
Yes.
Yes. Which is that you won't remember where your keys were, but you'll remember your second grade teacher's name.
Yeah. And of course, we can all relate. I mean, hopefully you and I are still cognitively intact, but I think that holds just for everyday life too. I mean, I can remember events from, my childhood quite vividly, some of them, and I'm not so good with things that happened a day or two ago.
Yeah. And recognizing that there's a benefit both from a decelerating the progression of one of these diagnoses by stimulating your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But also, one of the things that we hear anecdotally from customers is how meaningful it is after, dealing with the frustration and the challenge of having a loved one who's experiencing early symptoms of dementia, to be able to have a moment of real connectedness with them, where they feel like they are an agent, where they can control, they won't be challenged. They can actually talk meaningfully about an experience, and the joy that comes out of that experience of actually being together as a family.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's rough. Like if someone's truly disabled, it's rough. It's caregiving is hard. And so those moments become quite precious, I think, that you're describing.
Yeah, we've heard it from our customers, and it's always really, really powerful to hear. I have one more question for you, which is maybe broad. You've been with Remento for a long time at this point, and I guess if you were speaking to someone who is new to either our product or more generally thinking about how to preserve memories and stories, how would you describe, in the most kind of broadest of senses, like the way that photos can play a role in the preservation of the kinds of memories and stories that you'd want to pass down in your family?
Yeah, I think it's a huge role, and I would really encourage, like, people here to think carefully and go through these photos and kind of curate them, find ones that they think are going to be evocative for whoever's looking at them. Also, don't get too attached to it, because for them it might not, have enough on hand, so that if any particular photo, for whatever reason, isn't evocative, then you have other ones to go to. But I think it's huge for families and relationships to be able to connect in this way.
Well, Dr. Brian Levine, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, for the audience, just so you all know, Brian has been an advisor and a personal mentor of mine for years now, and has really shaped the foundation of how we think about memory and trying to make our product accessible for different kinds of audiences, ranging from people who are young and spry with terrific memory to those that maybe have the onset of a form of dementia or Alzheimer's. So Brian, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for all the work over the years.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I don't do this. Like, I'm a scientist and a clinician. I don't do these kinds of things. This is the only company I've ever done this for, and I just feel really fortunate that just to have been able to kind of been maybe helped out a little bit, been a spectator and see what you're doing, because I think what you're doing is actually really important. So congratulations to you too.
Well, we don't have enough time for me to fully explain your contribution to the product. We'd be here all day. But the answer, the short version is, you've been incredibly impactful, and we all deeply appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, we're going to go ahead and transition to the next part of our program. If you've ever tried to digitize your old family photos, you know it can be tedious. And for some of us, if we've got a massive collection of photos, we can actually go ahead and send those to someone to digitize for us. And that can be a huge relief and a massive time saver. But for whatever reason, you might not want to actually do that. There is an incredible option called Photomyne, which allows you to digitize photos directly from your home without any hardware necessary to be purchased, in a way that is tremendously easier and far more beneficial and higher quality than just taking a snapshot right from your phone without any software. Photomyne has built one of the most intuitive digitization platforms in the world. And what I find most exciting is how they are using AI and mobile technology to bring the highest quality photography and digitization right to your smartphone. And we're really lucky today to have Noam Eshel with us today, who's going to walk through exactly how Photomyne works, and then also some of the really exciting developments that Photomyne has been investing in to make the digitization of photos not purely just taking what exists in your hand and making it in digital form, but actually creating a quality that you can be really proud and excited to pass down in your family long into the future. So, Noam, wonderful to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I was listening to Brian's things, and it was amazing to see it from that perspective. We often focus on our product and like how we make the app better, but it's so insightful to hear how people can get real value out of like working with their photos, preserving them, going over them, writing details, and so forth. So thank you for allowing me to speak today. Many of you know about Photomyne, and some of you came here from Remento, but I think the two companies have a lot in common, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be in the same stage together and to talk about it. So maybe I'll start with a quick video that talks about Photomyne, and then I'll go from there. So I can share my screen.
I just scanned my family memories using the Photomyne app. And now all of my photos are stored safely in one place.
Hi, welcome to Photomyne. We invite you to rediscover your treasured memories with Photomyne, the ultimate photo scanning app. Whether it's loose photos, photo albums, old slides, negatives, or even scrapbooks, we help people organize and preserve their printed history. With over 42 million downloads and 400 million scanned photos, Photomyne has established itself as the go-to solution for anyone looking to preserve their memories. Here's how it works.
So often, our cherished memories end up stashed away in our homes. It's time to take them out of the box and give them a digital life with the Photomyne app. Scan multiple photos at once and watch as the app crops and enhances each photo individually. You can even scan the back of your photos and save their handwritten story. Once scanned, there is a world of features to explore for enhancing your photos. You can sharpen blurry photos, favorite your top picks, and colorize black and white photos. Select your favorites and share them with your loved ones so they too can relish in your joint memories. It is truly an experience for the whole family to sit back and enjoy. Every connection, every memory, all in the palm of your hand.
A few numbers about Photomyne. The company has been around for 10 years. We have over 50 million app downloads, around 600 million photos scanned and digitized and saved. And the way it works, you have an app, you can scan your photos. It's a DIY solution. You don't have to worry about sending them anywhere, and you don't have to worry about working with expensive scanners. So it's really something that you can do by yourself. Once the photos are scanned, there's an amazing array of features for photo editing and things that I'm going to show you really quickly using AI technology that we developed. And this is we have a few new features that came out a few months ago, and we're also going to share a coupon code to use these features at the end of the webinar. So when people think about scanning their photos, a question that we always get asked is, what's the difference between just taking a photo of the photo? If I do it with my phone, isn't that the same thing? So I'm going to share a 50-second video that shows the difference between scanning a photo with your photos, with your phone camera, and with Photomyne.
Hey, come here. I want to show you something.
Okay, what's that?
I want to show you the difference between taking a photo of a photo or taking a scan of a photo with Photomyne app. Okay,
what's that?
When you use your camera on your phone, all you do is you have to go to each picture and take a picture of each one. Then you got to go back to it and you have to edit each one, right? You go in and then you have to crop it. Okay, well the cropping's not so great because it's not it's not straight.
Okay.
Right? That picture wasn't straight. So instead, all you got to do is this: go to the Photomyne app, go above all three at once, hold down the button for a couple of seconds. Watch this. You're not going to believe this. Boom.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. It enhances each one. It crops each one. Perfectly square. I mean, I couldn't do that if I tried.
What's the name of this app again?
Photomyne.
Okay, so this is a quick video that shows the difference between simply scanning photos or taking photos with your phone and doing it with the Photomyne app. I think it summarizes it really well. Our solution is meant for people who have large projects, mainly. We see great success with people who have either a retirement project or someone who's finally decided they have enough time to save the photos. And I'm going to speak about different motivations once we're done. And the last thing I wanted to mention, and Charlie mentioned it earlier, is our new AI features. And these features are, for me as a video person, a video producer, filmmaker, They're just unbelievable and amazing the way they work. They save so much time and so much money for people who want to restore photos that are damaged, and also are able to create videos out of still photos. So going back to what Brian mentioned before about how to create something that will help you preserve a memory or even save it forever, then I think these two features that we just launched are very impressive. So this is a quick video that shows how it works. And we're going to start with the restoration. As you see, this photo is a scanned photo that is completely damaged. It has missing parts and the edges are all torn. And I'm going to show you what happens when you click the restore button. Once you click restore, you simply let the app work its magic for a few seconds, and then watch what happens when the restoration is done. So this is the restored photo, and this is going back to the original photo. We're able to do that thanks to the advancements of Gen AI features, and we're always looking for the next new thing. But something like that will maybe take you weeks and I don't know how much money to send to a professional, you can simply do it by yourself. The second Gen AI feature that I want to mention is called AI Motion. It allows us to take a picture like this one, click the beta button, and then the picture becomes a video. So again, going back to what Brian mentioned about the way we remember things, I think this is an unbelievable feature, and we see that people use it a lot and are super, super happy about it. And again, for me as a filmmaker, to transform photos into videos in a press of a button, it really means a lot. The last thing I wanted to mention is the desktop, what we call the Photomyne portal, the desktop version of Photomyne. So if you have a project and you scan your photos using your phone, everything is synced into your account. The photos are saved on the cloud, and you can access them logging into our desktop version. Many people, myself included, like to work on a desktop. So everything you see here, these are all albums that I scanned with my phone, and they are synced together, and I can work on the photos in a much simpler way. It's especially easy when you're trying to do a large project. Here I wanted to mention a few other things. You can also add a story to the photo. So me at the playground, and then 83 New York, you can tag a person. So all of these are features that we really suggest that people will use. We have been around for 10 years, as I mentioned, and we're very happy with the way we see people use the app. When you have a large project, as I mentioned before, you finally want to dig into the garage and reorganize the house and things like that. So this is something that we highly recommend, and it just takes time. It takes dedication. I'm guessing that people who join this webinar are here because they want to create this project. They want to work on something like that. And needless to say, natural disasters is something that we all deal with today. And we've seen researchers that speak about what is the thing that people carry with them when they only have a few minutes to leave the home. Usually it will be a passport, maybe grandma's jewelry, but very often the answer is we'll take the photos, the family photos. This is something that no one wants to lose, and unfortunately we've seen it happen. So again, Photomyne and Remento together are here to preserve the memories and to offer people different solutions, and I'm really glad to be in this field, and I hope this was helpful for you. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Noam, so much. I mean, we Remento is based in Los Angeles, and we're just a couple miles our office from the Palisades fire, the Altadena fires, and so we saw that tragedy unfold in real time. And you're so right. The things that people clutch to as they're leaving their house are their photos and these memories. And for so many people, these photos live in a temporary format. And so, if you love your memories, making the time to digitize them it's such a gift to you. It's such a gift to your family. And the way that you all have made that so easy is incredible. I mean, just the ability to take a photo of 3 images and have the auto crop, that's an incredible time saver. You talk about solving a real problem. That is amazing. But then you start layering on things like being able to sharpen a photo, being able to crop a photo, being able to recolor a photo. That's incredible. And then just in the last couple of years, you guys are exploding with all of the AI technology that you're building. Being able to take a photograph and turn it into a short form video is like, how incredible that we live in a time where that's possible. So for anyone who hasn't experimented with Photomyne, we're going to be sharing in the chat a link to download the app. We'll share a link for people who are on iPhones and a link for people who are on Android devices. And I won't take it personally if you download the product while I'm talking in the next section, but give it a try because it's so easy to use. And I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of people on this call who are spending some time tonight digitizing, maybe just a couple to start their photos, but fair warning, it's quite addicting once you get started. So
Thank you, Charlie. Just a quick note about the new AI features and the coupon we're going to share at the end of the webinar. So the features are available for iOS only right now, but they're coming very soon to Android. So if you're looking for them on Android, they're not there yet, but they exist in iOS and they will come to Android really quickly.
Well, having used them myself, I'll say, run, don't walk to get this. And if you're on Android, definitely stay tuned for those AI features. It's quite remarkable. Noam, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to transition us now to show what happens if you want to take the next step. You've digitized your photos. You now have this collection of treasure, on your devices backed up in multiple places. And that next step from our perspective is using these photos to spark real storytelling and turn into something that your family can hold on to forever. And that's really what Remento is for. We built Remento because we kept hearing the same thing from people, which is, I wish I could have asked that question before it was too late. And that's why we built the product that we did, which is a no-write family memory book, which is designed to help families capture and preserve all of their most precious memories and stories in a single physical keepsake book. These are definitely the big moments, but they're also the little moments too. I'll know, unlike most of the memoirs that you've seen, Remento books actually write themselves. And I'll explain how that works. See, every week, our storyteller is going to be sent a storytelling prompt. And then without any downloads or logins or passwords, that storyteller can record their spoken answers. Now, some of the prompts that they receive are questions that come from the Remento question bank, but many of them are photos in the form of prompts, which are uploaded by the storyteller or a member of their family, designed to inspire the memory behind that photo. You heard Dr. Levine talking about how powerful photos can be and inspire memories that perhaps even a question as provocative as you could write would never be able to on its own elicit. So once you've got that prompt, you record your story, and then our first of its kind speech-to-story technology transforms that person's spoken reflections into written stories, all of which are instantly shared with everyone in the storyteller's family. And then after a year of sharing memories, all of those stories are combined and printed into a hardcover keepsake book full of timeless stories. It means there's no tedious writing for them, and there's also no time-consuming editing for your family. Now, these books are designed to stand the test of time. They're 8 by 10 inches thick. They're 8 by 10 inches. They're printed in color, and they're printed on double thick paper, which bring every story and also every photo to life. But that's not all. Remento books are a gateway back to the original recordings themselves. You can scan one of the QR codes that is printed inside to play the recording that was used to write that story, which means that there is no reason for anyone in your family ever to be without those stories or the voice of the storyteller. Now, we charge $99 for Remento, which includes a 1-year subscription to our digital product and also a credit for a hardcover color printed book. Now, one of the things that we hear all the time from our customers is that they love to bring photos into the Remento experience. And so I want to transition into a deeper dive of exactly how that works. So right here, we're looking at, in this case, my mom's personal memory hub in Remento. It's private, only accessible to members of our families. And what I want to show you is the 2 ways to inspire memories, specifically using photos. So right now I'm looking at our private memory hub, and I'm going to go ahead and send my mom, who in this case is a storyteller, a prompt for her to record the response to what was actually happening in that photo. I can go ahead and add prompts and select upload a photo, and then I can see that there are actually a few ways to add a photo. I can add a photo from Facebook or Instagram directly. Photos can be added via direct connection through either Google Drive or Dropbox, or I can manually add a photo by uploading it from my desktop. And this is what you would do if you had used Photomyne to digitize your photos and then save them to your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and manually add a photo so that I have it on my desktop. This photo that I'm uploading right here is going to be a photograph of my parents from their wedding day. And now that it's been uploaded, I can edit the question to read, in this case, what was happening in this photo and what makes it so special. And then I can go ahead and add it to my mom's queue. Now, speaking of new stories, I want to go ahead and bring you over to what my mom is going to experience as a storyteller, which is the same whether she received Remento as a gift or had purchased it herself. When she clicks on the notification on her screen, you can see that she's brought directly into her email, where she's got an email from Remento letting her know that it's time to record. Here you can see that she's got a preview of the questions being asked, which in this case includes a photo of her and of my dad. So she'll go ahead and click share my memory, and she's going to be brought directly into the Remento recording studio. At this point, she can either go ahead and change her prompt or continue recording this one. So here she'll press go ahead and then next step, and see that she's the option to tell Remento if she wants to record with video or audio only. We always recommend video if you're comfortable, but audio is also an option. So my mom is going to go ahead and select video and is now going to be asked to grant Remento some basic permissions to ensure that we can capture her recording. And because she's okay with all of the notifications and settings, she'll go ahead and click next step. And then she will be able to press the big green button to begin her recording. She does that, and now after a 3-second countdown, she is officially recording. So she can go ahead and speak for up to 30 minutes. There's no perfect length. And because there's a photo, I want to show you that on the upper right-hand corner, she can press the expand button to see the photo in full screen. So she'll go ahead and press that button, and now we can actually see that photo in full screen. To exit, we just tap the X on the same part of that corner. Now, if for whatever reason my mom wanted to pause the recording, she just needs to hit the pause button in the bottom, and that's perfect if you want to answer the door, just get a drink of water. When she's ready, she can tap resume, and then when she's done, she can press stop. Now on this screen, she can watch the recording, she can decide if she wants to retake the recording, or she can submit it. And in this case, she did a great job, so she'll press submit, and that's it for the story. Now, as a quick reminder, she can record as many stories as she wants within a year of access. There's no limit. And if she wants to, she does have 2 other options. She can either record another story or she can view her stories. Now, I'm going to bring you back to my world. In this case, you can see that I've received an email that my mom has recorded a story. Of course, I want to watch it, so I am brought into the Remento private memory hub. And here you have it. On the left-hand side, you can see my mom speaking about the photograph. On the right, you can see that Remento has taken her recording and transcribed it word for word, exactly as it came out of her mouth. Now, if I want to make changes, all I do is click on the Make Changes button in the bottom right-hand corner, and now I'm in editing mode. I can change the text as it appears, or I can move my mouse to the top of the screen where it says AI Editing Tools, and go ahead and click on that. Now, right now, you can see that the cleaned transcript is selected by default, but I can change the story perspective to either the first or the third person. So I'll go ahead and click on first person. You'll see that Remento is going to give me the option to select the length of the story that I want. I'll opt to make it a little bit shorter, and then I will press generate preview. And what Remento is now doing is turning the transcript that my mom had shared into a structured written narrative using my mom's language and tone, but written as if we had hired a biographer to write it for her. You can see that the first line reads, "This photo was taken on the happiest day of my life." Now let's go ahead and see what the third person looks like. I will tap cancel. And now I'll ask Remento to create a version of the story in the third person. Now, this version here is going to, as you'll see, say, this photo captured the joy of the happiest day of Claudette's life. So this version is great. I'm going to go ahead and press update story, and then I will confirm that I'd like to replace the previous version of this writing. And as a reminder, everything on this page is completely editable. My mom can make changes as she sees fit. Now, if I want to let her know how meaningful the story was, all I have to do is click on the heart in the bottom corner of the screen, and I'm going to be able to share a reaction with my mom, letting her know how much the story means to me. I'll go ahead and send that message. And now it has been sent. My mom is a really prolific writer and has been using Remento for a while. So if we close out of this page and head over to the story section of the private website, you can see that she's recorded dozens of stories. And what's beautiful is all of these stories are going to be combined into this hardcover, color printed keepsake book, something that our family is going to be able to return to for decades into the future. And we'll always be able to scan that QR code inside and hear her voice whenever we would like. Now, with all of that being said, I want to transition to a few recommendations that we have based on almost 1 million stories recorded on Remento. And the first are the types of photos that we often hear storytellers and their families love talking about the most. Old photos are the ones that are buried in shoeboxes. They've got curled edges, sepia tones, long ago faces. They often open doors to the stories that we hadn't ever heard before or hadn't thought about in decades. Travel photos have the opportunity to bring us back to road trips and days on the beach. They are the moments that reveal how we explored the world and who we were back then. Scrapbook pages already hint at memory, but the story behind each page is what really brings them to life, of course. Wedding photos are an obvious one. They capture major turning points in life. They invite stories about how people met, who was at the wedding, and what it looked like to start a new chapter. Special rooms are a really interesting one in our homes. Kitchens, bedrooms, porches, they trigger memories of everyday life. And they're often full of spaces with incredible memories, many that we haven't thought of for a while. Old letters kind of play the purpose of like a time capsule. You know, either reading them out loud verbatim or remembering their sender can bring back moments and emotions with, in many cases, some surprising clarity. Family heirlooms carry meaning beyond the physical form, of course. A ring, a watch, a quilt, a piece of furniture, they all have stories that deserve to be told and remembered, especially if these heirlooms are being passed down in a family. Generations connected in a photo. Here we've got my mom holding my daughter, grandparents holding babies, cousins side by side. They all spark stories that definitely stand the test of time. And then special occasions like birthdays and holidays remind us of how we gathered. Their photos often unlock traditions and family rituals that we decide we may want to preserve with time. And last but not least, if you go to prompts in Remento and navigate to the historical events, you can see that a selection of famous historical photos can be added directly into a storyteller's account. Now, when you're picking photos to use with Remento, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. And don't forget that you as a storyteller can always skip a prompt. But with that in mind, here are a few of the things we've learned that can help you choose which photos to actually go ahead and add in Remento. Our first tip is to look for transitions, not just events. We're often drawn to big moments like weddings and birthdays and graduations, but actually it's often the case that turning points are where the real stories are. So I think about a move, a new job, an empty house after the kids leave. You know, a photo can capture these moments and spark really interesting and important stories that are worth sharing. Ask yourself, what don't I know here? So when you're looking at a photo, pause and ask, what is it that I don't know about this image that someone else could tell me? Or on the inverse, what is something I know about this image that other people might not know? Our third tip is follow the emotion, not the composition. So a photo doesn't have to be perfect to be included. If it is blurry, if the color isn't good, if you spilled coffee on it, it doesn't matter nearly as much as its ability to inspire a great story. So don't worry as much about the composition as the way that the photo can be used to inspire memories. Our fourth tip is to let the kids pick. This one is really simple but powerful. Let the younger generation flip through an old scrapbook and decide what are the stories that they want to learn about from the photos that they're most curious about. Bring the kids into the process earlier so that when the stories are created, they feel like they were a part of the process. A fifth tip is to choose photos with other family members. You know, when a photo includes more people, it's usually bringing out more stories. You'll hear about relationships and inside jokes and shared history, and it makes other families feel more invested and connected in the process. Our sixth tip is to not skip the ordinary. Some of the best stories come from the quiet, everyday moments, sitting on a couch or cooking dinner or just being together. These are the little details that often end up mattering a lot. And our seventh tip, our final tip, is to remember that the story isn't the photo. The photo is just the spark. The real value is what it brings out, the voice, the memory, the feeling behind it. That's the part that your family will remember and will forever be grateful for having captured. So that now concludes the education portion of our webinar. In a few moments, we're going to transition over to our Q&A. But before we do, I want to share how you can actually participate in our Q&A. We're going to go ahead and turn on our chat, and you'll be able to post a message. So either add your own question or look through the questions that are posted, and you can upvote one of the ones that you see. And we'll be using the number of upvotes to organize the way in which we answer questions. So consider looking to see if someone's already asked a question before writing one yourself. But before we actually transition into the Q&A, I want to share that we have a special promotion for prospective Remento and Photomyne customers. As a new Photomyne customer, you can get access to 10 free AI Restore credits. 10 free AI Restore credits. That's to be able to do things like colorize your photos, to be able to turn photographs into videos, as well as the other AI products that Photomyne has and is currently building out. And then if you're new to Remento, you can take $15 off your purchase of our product as a new customer. And in both cases, you can use the code webinar at checkout to be able to redeem that discount on either those AI credits or the $15 off your purchase with Remento. Just use the code webinar at checkout to redeem. And so with that, I want to go ahead and transition into some questions. So we'll go ahead and do that now. If there are some questions, the first is from Nicole. Nicole is asking, can we add photos and letter images without adding commentary? The answer is yes, you can add photos in. We just ask in Remento that photos are added to an existing story. So you can add additional photos to an existing story, or you can create a story that doesn't have any commentary. It would just be a blank story. So yes, that is possible. Don is asking, does Photomyne work on an iPad? I'm going to bring in Noam into this. I think the answer is yes.
The answer is very short, yes. Photomyne works both on iPad or an iPhone. It does the same thing, and it's just a matter of ease of use or whatever anyone is preferring to do now.
That's great. Okay. Thanks, Noam. Great answer there. If you need technical help, is there a way to speak to a person? The answer is yes. We have a actively managed email account that we check every minute of every day. It's support@remento.co, and you can send us a message, and we'll get back to you almost always within a day with information, links to more support, etc. So the answer is definitely yes, and we know that many of our storytellers need some help, so we're always happy to be helpful. Next question that we've got is from Nicole. Does Photomyne use facial recognition to file photos? Noam, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, no. So the answer to this one is no. We are very cautious about the way we use AI, especially when dealing with people's photos. We know how important the privacy issues are, so we are super cautious, and everything we do has to align with all the GDPR and other current legal aspect. So no.
Yeah, I think Photomyne is very clearly focused on privacy in the same way that we are. So for the record, Remento doesn't either. So thank you for that.
You are able obviously to add tag people in the photos. So once you tag the people, let's say you tag a person, you tag your father or your mother. When you click on their name, you will see all of the photos that person appears in. But that doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Noam. Let's move over to our next question. Anthony is asking, how does it capture laughter and fun times playing cards? That's a great question. So with Remento, you can open up a new story and record under any context. So many of the stories that get recorded involve laughter, people celebrating with each other. Many of my mom's stories involve her laughing. And in some of the stories that she's recorded, I've been with her and we've actually been doing things together. So you would just create a question about something that the response would make sense for them to be doing, in this case, laughing and playing cards. Great question. Thanks, Anthony. Rochelle is asking, can you email this so I may view it later? The answer is 100% yes. We're going to be uploading this video to YouTube, and we will be sharing the recording with this audience, everyone who signed up for the webinar. So thank you for that reminder. Deanna is asking, I haven't used this yet and have had Remento from my daughter for many months. I have saved the prompts, but I'm not sure how to use the site. Can I still upload photos and videos from my and my husband's videos? Thank you for this. So Deanna, the answer is yes. When you're, in this case, when you were gifted Remento, the clock started for you to have a full year to be able to use the product. So some people are able to record a bunch of stories at the beginning, some take the full year, some start after a couple of months. So you can start whenever you'd like. And if you need more time, you can just pay for a second year or an individual month. You can save all of the prompts. The good news is you don't need to save them all individually. There's a catch-up flow where when you log in to record your first story, we'll show you all of the ones that you haven't recorded and give you the chance to catch up really easily. And yes, you'll be able to upload all of your photos that you'd like. Remento doesn't allow uploading of video content yet, so it's focused on photos, but you'll be able to do that no problem. Thank you for the question. Daniel is asking, I have a large family and need several copies of my book. Is there a discount on multiple books? Yes, we do have a discount on multiple books. I believe the discount starts at 3 if you're buying more than 3, so 4 copies. So just email us at support@remento.co. And if you'd like that discount code for buying multiple books, we can set you up with that. Yael is asking, can I move Photomyne stored photos to Google Photos? Noam, that is a great question for you.
Yes, of course, you can. We have an integration with Photomyne, with Google Photos, I mean. So you simply click on a button and you'll see a specific album in your Google Photos collection that says Photomyne, and that's where you'll see the photos. So you can pick and choose your photos, click connect to Photomyne, to Google Photos, and then you'll see these photos there. So this will be an album inside your Google Photos library that is called Photomyne.
That's great. And as a reminder, photos can be imported into Remento directly through Google. So you wouldn't actually have to download photos from Photomyne to your computer and then back into Remento. You could actually just save them to Google Photos and then import them directly from Google Photos. So that's a good little trick there.
Nice.
We can we'll move into the next question that we have, which is from Darren. Can we use Dementors for multiple people to record their stories? I don't know what that question means. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure what the question means. But Darren, if you can maybe ask that again, I'm super happy to answer. I'm not sure how to answer. We can move over to the next question. Margaret is asking, I have Remento but may not finish within the year. What is the best way to extend with the least cost, but also keeping the account the same? Yeah, Margaret, 2 really easy ways to do this would be to extend for 1 additional month or 1 additional year. So you can pay by the month or you can pay by the year. No problem there. Okay, I'll scoot up a little bit. Pat is saying he hasn't started his book and has a couple questions. Your book sample looks like it's only 1 picture per page. Can it be multiple pictures? Well, I'll start there. The answer is yes. The first picture that you upload is what we call our hero photo. That will appear directly under the QR code. And as many photos that you upload to that story afterwards will be placed after the text. Your second question is how many pages are in the Remento book? Our books can be printed up to 380 pages, which is a fairly large book. And your third question is the section where you show a photo, ask question, and see answer. Does that get saved or can it be printed out for the future? Yeah, so everything that gets added into Remento gets printed into one of our physical hardcover books. So it all goes from the web into the physical book. We also give you an ebook, which can be downloaded and shared with your family. And if you ever want to print out that ebook, you can do that as well. It's also worth noting that all content added into Remento can also be downloaded to your computer as well. So if you want to be able to have the physical book, you can order it from us. If you want a PDF, you can have the PDF. And if you want all of the videos, you can download this directly to your computer. Thanks for the question, Pat. Leah is saying, can I add an existing video to my dad's Remento book? Can we extend past 1 year with our account? So to answer your first question, right now, we're not able to accommodate uploading existing videos. Really sorry for that. All of the video that gets added has to be recorded within Remento. And the answer to your second question is yes, 100%. You can absolutely extend beyond 1 year for either a full year at a discount or you can pay per month. B is asking, when do I know when my subscription is up? If you log into your account, B, you'll see the date. It'll say in the settings exactly when your account is is set to renew, if it is. And just for you to know, that would be on the 1-year anniversary that you received an email from Remento saying that you had been gifted Remento, or if you bought it for yourself the day that you purchased it. Jaya is asking, I am new at this. How can I get started without being overwhelmed? It's a really good question. I love that you've asked that, and it can feel overwhelming to think about all of this at a time. My recommendation to you would be start with your first prompt. And if you get to Remento and the first prompt that is sent to you doesn't feel like a good match, you can always pick a different prompt, and you can look through our library and pick a prompt that feels right. So just start small, start with one prompt, and don't feel like there's a lot of pressure. You can always delete your answers after the fact. But what we find generally is that people feel overwhelmed by the process until they record their first story. And then they realize that it's actually not that hard. So my recommendation would be to take a deep breath and record your first story. And if you feel good about it, save it. And if you don't feel good about it afterwards, don't worry. But Remento is designed to be a collection of individual stories. And you're only ever going to be able to develop that collection if you start with your first. So I wish you the best of luck. And let us know if you have any questions. Darren is saying, how do I back up the recordings? All of the recordings from within the private web app that I was showing you, the private website, can be downloaded directly to your device. So if from those pages you click more, there is a button that says download recording, and you can do that in just a couple clicks. Thanks, Darren. If we have already recorded a story, how do we go back to add a photo? Great question. So you can click View Stories after you've recorded, or you can just go to remento.co and then click Login, and you'll see that screen where you see the recording and you see the text. And then right at the bottom, there's a little button that says Add a Photo, and you can add the photo to that recording. As a reminder, you can either add photos to prompts to collect the stories of the photo, or photos can be added to stories after they've been recorded to bring them to life. Elizabeth is asking, what is the process to put the stories in the order you want them? Great question, Elizabeth. So you can record stories in any order that you want. And then when you go to print your book, there's the ability to actually reorder the stories in whatever way that you like. Some people like to group them chronologically. Some like to group them thematically. You will have the ability to reorder the stories in whatever way that you want. And if someone who is ordering a book after you, or you decide you want to create a secondary version of the book, you can always mix and match and rearrange the order of the prompts however you'd like. It's a great question. Thank you. Kay is asking, do you have to continue to pay for access to your stored pictures and videos? The answer is no. Remento charges a subscription if you are actively creating new content on the platform, but we host your content at no cost if you are not looking to actually add new recordings or make edits to existing stories. Thank you for asking that question. It's a great one. John is asking, do Remento QR codes work after the 1-year subscription ends? John, amazing question. The answer is absolutely. We're not in the business of holding your data hostage. We keep your content accessible through the QR code, whether or not you have a subscription. The subscription, again, is only needed to be able to make contributions into your Remento account. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Here we go. This is a good question for Noam. Please, Noam, chime in here.
Yes. So Photomyne charges $60 a year. This is a subscription price. And with the subscription, you obviously get all access to all of the things I mentioned before. In order to use the AI features, we obviously use different models, so we have to pay for the models as well. That's why you can use credits. And for photo restoration, it's 10 cents per photo. So that's $2. You get 20 credits. A credit is one photo restoration. And then for the video is $1 per video. So image to video is $1. And these are all packages that we often have on our website. And we also have different discounts as well frequently.
The reality is that $1 means different things to different people, but you'd be hard pressed to believe that years into the future, having all this stuff digitized would not have been well worth it. So, yeah, I can't, as a subscriber myself, I can't recommend the commitment enough.
Exactly.
Thanks, Noam. We have our next question is going to come from Darren. Can multiple people use Remento to record their stories? For example, parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. So separate pictures for each of these individuals and create their own books, or have more than one person provide a memory of their recordings. Darren, you're making me sit up, which I like. The answer right now is for most of our storytellers, there is one storyteller per book. And that is for a variety of reasons, but it's really the way the account is set up. If you want to invite multiple people to record within a single book, you can always take a recording link for a specific story and share it with different people. You're welcome to do that, but we don't have built into the actual software an easy way to be able to invite multiple people to contribute different perspectives into the same story or the same photo. But it's a really good question, and I know that's something that our product team is actively thinking about. So thank you for that. Linda is asking, does the cost of the book depend on how many pages you have in the book? So our books, when you buy a Remento, you have a credit for a hardcover color printed book up to 200 pages. And so if you want to buy additional books under 200 pages, 200 or fewer pages, those cost $69. And if you need to print a book that's larger than 200 pages, we charge a $30 fee for that. And again, a book that is, more than 200 pages. These are quite large books. But the vast majority of our books that get printed are under 200 pages. But if you have a larger book, we can of course accommodate that. And Edna is asking, can I add photos to Remento from Photomyne? I'm gonna bring Noam into this, and I think this is the last question that we have. I think right now there are a couple of ways to do that. You can either take a photograph, upload it to Google Photos, and then add it directly into Remento. The other option is to be able to have a photo that exists in Photomyne, download it to your computer, and then upload it directly into Remento manually. Although, as we're having this conversation today, I think a deeper integration that ought to exist that would allow photos from Photomyne to be brought directly into Remento. So that's something that you and I should spend some time thinking about, I reckon.
Yeah, I actually took a note of that. But in short, you can share the photos or download them from Photomyne to anywhere you want. This can be your computer, or share it to your as an SMS or as an email. Share it to Google Photos, like we mentioned before. Once the photos are on your computer or on your phone, you can upload them into Remento with ease. So that's not an issue.
Yeah. That is all the time we have for today. Noam, hey, thank you so much for being with us today. Photomyne and Remento, these are companies that I think for so many people should exist in a single kind of way of thinking, being able to capture photos and then be able to preserve the memories of them. It's a really important thing to do. And when people are successful using Remento, so often their experiences do involve photos. So thank you for all the hard work at making that process easier for all of our families. And thank you for all of the people who are on our call today for being with us. We've got, again, 2 discounts for both Photomyne and for Remento available. Please, if you're able to make the opportunities those discounts do. And then also remember that at the top of the chat, there's a link that is pinned to share your feedback about the webinar. And we would appreciate it greatly if you took just a couple minutes to share your feedback. And if you do share your feedback, you'll be entered in to win one of 2 free book credits that we offer. So a little way to hopefully inspire you to take just a couple minutes to share feedback on how the webinar went. So on behalf of our entire team at Remento, on behalf of the team at Photomyne, thank you all so much for being with us today. And we will see you at the next webinar. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. Bye for now.